Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline, I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz, I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show.
Our guest today is an artist, a product designer, and the visionary behind the Athens, Georgia-based design studio, Hable Construction, which she founded with her sister Katherine. Known for her bold hand-painted patterns, incredibly joyful use of color, she's been partnering with our sister brand, Garnet Hill, for 20 years. And today we're going to talk about her latest collection, her product design business, and how art is the heart and soul of all of her product collections. Welcome, Susan Hable.
Thank you. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Caroline.
We're so happy to... Both Liz and I have been fans of yours for so long.
That is so sweet. It makes me sound like an old dinosaur, but I kind of am, so I'll take it. Thanks. I know. I've been doing this business. This has been about 27 years. And I was driving here today thinking, what has happened? 27 years? That's actually that's a long time. I mean, like if I said to somebody, I've had a business for 27 years, that's substantial.
It is, yeah.
That's kind of crazy. But anyway, yes.
Just set us up. Like,
okay.
If our listeners aren't familiar with your work,
okay.
We obviously mentioned you have a product design or a product line with Garnet Hill, but Hable Construction does, lighting, furniture, textiles. You sell art. You are working on a jewelry collection. So your product design business is really multi-category,
mm-hmm.
and it all sort of stems from your artwork. So what I want to start with is how you got it, how did you get into the product design world? Was that something that you kind of planned
mm-hmm.
for,
mm-hmm.
or did you fall into it?
Oh, no,
how did it
there's
come
no
about?
planning. I mean, I'm going to be really honest. This is the part that I am very honest. I'm kind of an open book sometimes if you hit me on the right day. That's every day. But my story is not that unique in that, I've always been I was an artistic child. I grew up in a small town. There were few opportunities, but I had two really incredible opportunities. There were two different women in town. They're both still living and are vibrant. One was a watercolorist named Morgana Harwood, and the other was an oil painter and incredibly Sandra Dowd. Incredible for both of their skills. I mean, they were known. And so I got to have lessons with Morgana, and then I took a painting class at the junior college in town when I was in high school, and I would also help when Sandra would have classes in her studio, and I'd clean up, and I was the helper. So I got to be around as much art as there was. My mother would always see to that. I think they knew that they were not artistic. My mother had kind of more of a craft. She still is pressing flowers, and she still makes things and takes a lot of pleasure. She's a big gardener. So and then her mother had fabulous taste. So I always kind of reference back to my Mimi in some designs that I do. I do always go look back at what Mimi did, because she was not schooled in the arts. It was definitely not what she did for a living, and being an artistic person would have not been in her vocabulary. So she just happened to have really fabulous taste. But so I grew up, they didn't know what to do with me. They would kind of joke. My sister has always joked that if I was hanging upside down naked from a flagpole, my parents would point and say, "Look at our creative daughter." And if my sister did that, she'd be grounded all summer. She'd be working, like washing dishes somewhere. I mean, which it's not that extreme, but I do think I got a lot of hall passes because I was special, But then when I wanted to go to art school, that was not only a no, but a hell no. You're going to kill yourself if you go to New York. So we're going to force you into a small little box, and you're going to pick from this little piece of the world, and you get to choose that. So moving through that whole time, I felt that all I could do to get into a world, I worked for some small businesses out of college, but I knew that if I did not find a commercial application for whatever I was doing, drawing, painting, then that was my only entrance into the world of design. I didn't know what was beyond me. I had worked for 2 jewelry designers. I thought I was going to be a jeweler. I had gone to school in Italy, but after working for those 2 people, I was like, no way, never touching jewelry again. But I've always just loved it and obsessed over estate pieces. I just think the Victorian time, the Georgian time, so incredible. So I always have these secret passions that have kind of followed along through all of these gigs that I've done, these jobs. But my business with my sister started, I had gone on my very first trip to India. I have a friend's mother who was completely kooky and wonderful, and she had been to India 7 times and had a store in San Francisco. After I did finally send myself to Parsons for I thought, I'll be a shoe designer. I mean, literally, I was grabbing at straws. Shoe designer. I took an accessories design program there, and I think it was because I literally was kind of throwing, there's that expression, I hate it, but it's like throwing spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. I've had a couple people in my career tell me that, and I've followed along with that, and it's not the best idea. I'll just go ahead and tell you, don't do it.
So you go to India, and then how do you start your business with Katherine?
So I bring home a duffel bag of fabric, and I start washing it in the sink, and it bleeds because, as they do, most fabrics that come home from India, they were literally taken from the printer, and I didn't know, they weren't fixed. Mm-hmm. They were some natural dyes, some not, but they bled. This is kind of a wacky thing, and I'll just keep this short, but I had some weft, which is the fabric that you put inside your lapels in a suit, which gives it body. Mm-hmm. And I had some of that. I was just playing around. I like to collage, and so I was playing around with collaging that. And the ink got on that, and that has enough natural fiber in it to tint it. So I started making these crazy big scarves. I was asked to do one for Mick Jagger. The Rolling Stones were coming through San Francisco, and I was making these huge, they were like theatrical drapes. And somebody said, the woman who did my sewing, her husband had worked for a famous old blues artist. He was the roadie, and I guess he was backstage, and he said, I'll make sure Mick gets it, and he'll love to come out on the stage in this. And of course, I'm like, yes! But we started with this crazy idea, but with this idea, I got our first order with Barneys.
Wow.
Because it was so unique. And my sister was in Chicago, I was in San Francisco, and we really decided at that point we were going to come together. She was moving back to the city with twins, and she was cross-eyed from Sesame Street, and it was time for me to go. And I had a couple breakups that were like, get me out of here. And I scooted back to New York, and then we started this company, and the rest is history. But I think the funniest thing was I have had dreams, and this has happened over the course of our business, but I had a dream so my body was hurting. I was ironing this weft onto this organza. I mean, it was just this whole thing. Katherine was beading. We started beading on top. I mean, she was having her third child, and she had this scarf in the room at St. Vincent's beading. And I said, what is that doing here? That's so gross. And she was like, well, I had to get this one finished before I shipped. I'm like, does that say anything about us? We're crazy, but okay. So I dreamt that I was painting this huge flower and it was turning into a print. And so the next day I called Katherine. I said, I had a dream. Oh my gosh, we have to figure out how to screen print. And she goes, okay. And I said, I don't know anything about it, but I think this is the way we're going to be able to make production and change this flow. And so that is really what moved us in a different, direction. So it started with textiles, but I'm not a trained textile designer. So that's how this commercial application happened. And then it just, we did that for probably the first 12 years of our business. And we had retail stores in New York.
You opened a store in New York.
Yeah. And so that was fun because, so I think in a 27-year-old business, I think it's safe to say, I don't know if this is for everyone, but we've had different phases, different times where we were wholesale driven, we were retail driven, and ebbs and flows with the culture, with our world, right?
Yeah.
So this was all before, this was like back in caveman, as we say, before the interweb, before the internet. And people would have their magazine and they'd come to the shop and they would say, I saw this. And they would find us. It was sweet, like a treasure hunt, which I do. I mean, I take the present. I take whatever comes, but those were really sweet times.
Well, there was definitely a phase where y'all were sort of like darlings of the home editor. Like y'all were in all the shelter magazines.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
Cottage
There were
Living
so
and Domino.
many.
And so,
Right.
And it was Hable Construction, and it was your store in New York. So what were sort of the early products? I mean, I think the beads is probably what most people would have seen.
Oh, yeah. And we
your
still
beads fabric. So
probably still our number one seller. I mean, it's not probably, it is.
yeah, you got towels still from Garnet Hill.
Yes.
So great.
I love
The bead
those
print.
towels. Yeah. I know. I'm kind of like, hey, Garnet Hill, let's have a 12 color range, But yes, I love those. That is still an important pattern, and I think, some people work like their whole career to get one or have that one thing that clicks. I mean, once we've done it, now I do kind of always think, is this going to be one of those items? That does go through my mind, but there has to be some, like, it's almost like a lightning strike time. So the shelter magazines, the reason I think that was the way it was is because our rule was, if somebody picks up the phone from press, answer it, and we will send any samples that they need. We couldn't afford PR. So that was the choice. If we wanted the PR, we had to send, and back in those days, I mean, we could just throw our pillow in a sack or a tote bag in a sack, and then a courier would come by and pick it up, and then off it would go, even in a day's notice.
Right.
So it was a wonderful time for that world.
Yeah.
And then all of our friends who were assistants grew up to be the editors, and we kind of all grew up together. And then it has all shed, So such is life, right?
Yeah. People might know your beads print. It's sort of, it was inspired by beads. And it's sort of a circle pattern. Linear, like circular linear pattern, I guess.
I think that's what it's organic, but it's a small pattern, so it's great for a seat. The size of a seat or the size of a pillow, you get a lot of the pattern. And what I have found from my experience, as many patterns as I may draw or paint that are these wonderful big expressions, I feel like there's some calming effect of a small pattern. It's almost the repetition. I mean, that's why I think when I've traveled the world, like if you look at all the patterns you see around the world in Egypt or, in India. I see it often in block printing. That tighter repetition has some magic about it. And of course, yes, it works. I think there's a pattern by Sister Parrish. You know the one.
It's like it
Yeah,
almost looks like a bird footprint, or like
I think it's like a
petal,
tree.
or an acorn, or
a
something.
little tiny
it's like
tree,
a little-
or
yeah.
But it, to me, I mean, I think more people have tried to copy that. I'm sure they have, because they've tried to copy the beads, but it's just like you can't really copy it. It's just so solid. I mean, just go for the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's like, the Marimekko, or
Well, and I loved. I grew up on Marimekko.
but it has that graphic quality. But
Yes.
Yeah.
And big scale and really
Yeah.
bold. But
Yes.
but the smaller prints, like you're talking about, like they just add so much texture.
Yes.
And ground, no matter where you use them.
Yes, and when we started, I wanted to paint really big things because they weren't in the market. Well, come on, they weren't in the market because it's hard to use those things. So of course we did it. We wanted to do something different, but there's a reason why there's not a lot of that in the market. It's, it's almost like having that dress that is so incredible, but once you wear it, you really need to, if you're going to wear it again, it's got to be on another coast. Now with Instagram, or photos, there's no way that dress can go to another. If you're a person that people are watching.
Yeah.
Right. So your beads are like more of like a little black dress or a trench coat kind of situation.
I say the
that what you're
beads
saying?
is more a white shirt. It's
Yeah.
our white shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Gap is the white shirt and the jeans. That's our white shirt.
Yeah. Like you can put it on a tote bag. You can make it into a seat cushion. You can put it on towels.
It's on the
Right.
clothing for this
Yes.
new collection this summer with Garnet Hill.
Yep. Tell them what it's on,
yeah.
like a 2-piece kind of.
It's a 2-piece number. It's so cute. As my daughter says, it's a set, Mom. And I'm like, yep, it is a set. So we made a cute tote bag, a little headband, and this. Oh, well, the dress, actually, I'm thinking we have it in the dress. We have this darling dress that has a nipped-in waist, and then it's in this set, which is a super cozy, but you could still actually go and have lunch with somebody in this pant with elastic waist.
Like a linen,
Yeah,
linen
trouser.
tunic and wide
And a little...
leg pant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cute. It's sort of an
So great.
like
So
a
you could be
teal.
your couch. You could be your sofa.
Yeah.
could
Well,
have-
that's kind of the beauty of the beads print. But you're still designing fabrics today, and
Yes.
and everything still kind of dovetails out of your artwork. So,
Yes.
what are you sort of getting your initial inspirations from, and what is like the foundational medium for you? Is it painting? Is it drawing? Watercolor?
Oh my gosh. That's a loaded question. When I'm making art, I literally, with the exception of oil painting, and I have an oil painting show up, which when I paint with oils, I really can't stop. It has to be, like I had to paint consistently for months to achieve that work. When I'm working in my other mediums, in the water mediums, I can hop
Into different mediums?
into different mediums. With
Okay.
oil, I really struggle. It's almost like it's an itch that that constantly needs to be scratched. So I'll come back and I'll see problems, and then I'll try to work those problems out. It's almost like it's like the most complicated. I love puzzles. It's the most complicated puzzle ever, because one brushstroke and the whole thing shifts. So I would.
Okay, but I have to
Yeah.
interject a little bit because
No, do,
I
please.
just stopped at your show before this recording, and it's at Spalding Nick's Gallery in Atlanta, and it's a wonderful show, and they're all oil paintings. So it's really interesting for me to hear that you spent so much time and are, go back and really kind of struggle with different things, because there's such joy and immediacy that comes through in the paintings.
Oh, thanks.
Which is really just fantastic. And I encourage everybody to check them out. They're so beautiful. They're so colorful. And yeah, they really just are so joyful and like move through the space really well. It's a really great show.
Thank you. You know what, I finished painting, and when it got to the show, the first thing that I thought was, oh my gosh, I still have joy. I could see it, but it wasn't until it left my studio. I mean, it was, whoa. Until it got out of my studio into that clean space without the wrapping on them, that I could literally just wipe my brow and think, oh my gosh, because, this has been a very interesting year, and I say interesting because that's the most innocuous word I can think of. It doesn't define anything. It's been a very tricky year for me, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And I am a very joyful person. I feel very fortunate to do what I get to do. And, and I can slip in. I mean, I worked, I don't know the last day I've had a day off. I should say, I don't know the last day off that I've taken, honestly. And so I'm not sure how that translates. It's like I lost sight. And I would have these moments where something would come through, and I don't know, did you see the painting with the bonsai and the legs behind it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's great.
So thanks. So that was basically a self-portrait, but I was thinking about that painting on the way over here, because I was thinking, that is not really a self-portrait. It's a portrait that anyone can see themselves in.
Yeah.
Everyone hides behind. That's a bonsai, because I went to Japan, and if I could move back tomorrow, I would. But it was kind of this murky blob of a person. You see the feet, and the feet are actually walking almost like Egyptian feet. They're moving.
But they're also very kind of stylized, comical pink legs and feet that are coming out of of the base of this tree.
Yes.
That you would think in some instances, is that the trunk of the tree? Is what's going on? There's definitely a humor in all of your work.
No, I'm glad,
too.
because I have a little bit. Well, we have a couple of things in my family. Number one, there's a little depressive side that my father calls purple curtains and violins. So there's always that. But then I have kind of a sick sense of humor, and it can be, I can totally go down the dirty road for sure. But I don't know. I just think it's kind of like Lucille Ball humor. It's just like if somebody trips and falls, I mean, bless my girlfriend's heart, but I can still picture, I have this friend who I adore in Athens, and she fell down one day, and we had our children were little, and we were going for tacos, and she had this big skirt on, and the thing freaking blew up like a mushroom. She was wearing some espadrilles, which it's so Southern when I say this. It's like she had a skirt and espadrilles, and she busted going to the taco, and she still kills me over this, that I bent over and I laughed so hard as my poor girlfriend. I mean, she wasn't hurt. She would have been, she yelped, but she wasn't in agony or anything. But so I am bad. I laugh at funerals. I mean, everything to me gets to be funny. It's terrible. It's terrible. The whole pew will shake, everybody will look and it'll be me. It's I have these crazy, you could explain something in my mind. I am making the picture of what you're explaining to me all at the same time.
Your visual mind is just running rampant.
Oh, 100%.
I love that.
A picture just comes. And most of the time it's that somebody's pants will be around their ankles. I mean, it's just, there's something that happens to me. I don't know who that came from. I mean, both my parents are kind of funny in their own way, but not, I don't know, sick humor or something. But I'm glad you could see that, because nothing is that serious. Let's be honest. We're here on this earth. There's so much tragedy. We have to have levity and humor, and we have to find our joy. And that sounds so, like I just snatched it off of Instagram, finding your joy, deep thought. I always say this when I go to India, and I've tried to explain this to the people that I work with, but I always use that. Did y'all ever watch Saturday Night Live when they would say Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy? Yes. And I will literally say that, and they laugh because they understand, but like deep thoughts. And it's because like I'll say something that I think is really deep, but then it's so ridiculous. I'm like, oh God, that's an eye roll. I don't know if anybody can see this podcast, but there's a lot of eye rolling going on to myself. Anyway, okay, I'm sure I'm off track. Just keep going. I'll try to get back on the street.
Well, I do want to talk about the Garnet Hill partnership,
yes.
Because it is. We mentioned I think it's 20 years old, and
I think it may be more than
maybe
that.
more. Okay, more,
but
20 plus something. It's been a long partnership. But how did it come about initially? Like, what was the genesis of it?
We used to sell them product before they made it. So we made these amazing tote bags,
which I'm still obsessed with, and I wish I could find some.
eBay.
I
they come up.
eBay, Susan, but okay.
I
just
put
need
the
to
search
put in
on.
Yeah.
They come up. It's funny.
Notification.
Yeah. And
okay, so
I remember you saying you wanted a bushel, and I'm supposed to ask for you, so I've got to remember to do that.
Okay.
I've got a few in my house, but I don't.
I know
want to give
she's
you one
got
with
these
water
great
stain.
laundry baskets in her house, and I was like, I need one of those. Okay, so you first started out as a vendor.
So we started out as a vendor. My sister had worked for Kate Spade. They were friends of ours, and Katherine developed their whole Japanese business.
Oh, wow!
And so she's a salesperson extraordinaire. That's her. I mean, that's her bag. Mm-hmm. And so she did that for a showroom in New York, and Kate Spade was one of the brands. And so she developed that whole program. And so she actually knew buyers in the industry. So she just picked up the phone like we usually do, and we still do that. We pick up the phone. I've always called people, like when I've felt backed into a corner, I'll call, and the rule now is ask for what you need. And literally it has worked. Mm-hmm. Because even if they say no, you've at least asked. And if that road is not available to you, then to take another path. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's like if you sit there and just stew on things, you'll never, it goes for most everything in life. We just have to, and that's a difficult thing oftentimes for Southerners. Southern women is saying what we really need or asking for help, right? So I've had to just do it, and when it's come to my business, it's so interesting. When it comes to my business, I've been able to ask more clearly and more focused than I probably would if it was asking something for myself. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so that's how we started with Garnet Hill, and then we just became part of the family. And we then started we actually made Christmas stockings for Barneys and Bergdorf Goodman. And then when they had run their course, because as things do, we did some for Neiman's, and then we went to Garnet Hill, and we knew that it was time, because they obviously have that category, that whole Christmas is a huge category. I'm sure.
Yeah.
For you all
as well, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it really worked because, just like the legs and the painting, I can try to paint like an impressionist, but that's, at the end of the day, that's just not how my people come out. They're a little funny and realistic, but then not.
Yeah.
Your collaboration with them was way before people, now every brand has collaborators and brand partnerships, but this was really kind of a new thing when you were doing it. What were some early kind of learnings you had and favorite products? And
Oh my gosh. Well, we started making bedding for them, and we have literally done, you name it, we've tried it. We have made, this was back in the day when Garnet Hill was in Franconia, and there is one light at the cross at a four stop. Is that what y'all would call that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Like a four-way stop?
The four-way stop. One tiny little town. And I did get to go there a few times. It was really special. But they had brought in a designer who, I've been through, oh gosh, I don't even know how many designers that have passed through those doors. But, some better fits than others, obviously. And this guy, I think I had made cactus sheets. And, they were so cute, but I just don't think people, and even in the textile world, people don't want to sleep under a thorn or a cactus.
Shocking.
But, they were so cute. But, doesn't like a saguaro cactus with the arms, no, nobody's interested. Actually, people have been asking me at those paintings, saying those bonsai are cactus. I'm like, no, that's a bonsai. But yeah, cactus and thorns.
Maybe it's the Texas in you.
I don't know.
Cactus.
The Victorians. I did a painted surface one time of this thorn pattern. That was a total trend in the Victorian times. But of course, it went out of style because of the pointy thorns.
Right.
So I studied all about that. So oftentimes when I'm making textiles, I think you had asked this before and I just went straight past it. But if I haven't been somewhere that I could reference, I have a library that I've created. Because when I left New York, we used to go to the New York Public Library, and back in those days you could research and then make photocopies, and then I had a whole file cabinet of tears.
Yeah.
Right? And I still have a few of those tears. I just couldn't stop using them. But when I moved to Athens, which actually turned out to be probably one of the best moves for my artistic life, I just have collected books every time I go on a trip or see something, some show that's happening that maybe I'm not going to be able to make it to, or I just want to support the artist, or, or learn about a country, and even garage sales and estate sales. There was a professor from UGA that had he lived in Japan half the time, and he had the most incredible library. And of course, most of the books went to the school, but I was able to buy some. And those things are out of print. And I have a couple of friends who have the same love for books like this, and I'll photograph them. And then oftentimes if they're out of print, I'll just go on the used books. I don't mind if they're marked on or torn. I just kind of think it shows that they've been used. So I still love physical books. I don't really love the internet for that. If you have to, you have to.
Yeah.
But I think there's a Harvard has this, I want to say it may be an Emily Dickinson pressed flower library. Anyway, there are things that you can find online that would never be a published book. So it's worth digging just to see what's out there. But typically, I just go back to my books.
Yeah. Your library.
Well, and then I learn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I learn about the culture, which I think is then important.
Yeah.
Tell everyone about your move to Athens. We just shot your house tour, which they can watch on our YouTube channel, but it was not necessarily planned.
Oh, right. My husband bought my house. My husband bought the house without telling me he was going to buy a house. It wasn't even,
And
we weren't even looking.
You didn't even live there.
No, and it was a town that was a plane ride away that had no body of water or mountain to go hike.
So what was it about Athens that drew him there? Where were you living before?
So we were in New York. I had a woman who worked for me named Lucy. She's Lucy Allen Gillis. She lives in Athens. She has a sister-in-law that lives here in Atlanta. And then her sister, Ren, is a fine art photographer. And at the time, we hadn't even started photographing. I mean, we were so new. And Lucy was doing PR for us. Really, she was doing many things for us, but she would help with samples. And so I said we didn't have a PR person, but I would say that Lucy was a jack of all trades. We kind of really only hired jack of all trades types people, we were like, we need people that were like octopuses. Or octopi.
They're both correct.
Yeah.
Are they?
I think so.
Oh, thanks for that.
Sure. I'll be your grammar girl.
Hey, I'll take it. Because oftentimes my husband will correct me and it makes me give him an eye roll, but I know it's out of love because he's such a wordsmith. But anyway, he bought the house because we started going there for photo shoots.
To work with Ren.
She came to New York a few times, but then we were like, wait a second. We may live here, and yes, we are New Yorkers in quotation marks, but our brand is not. Our brand can live in many different types of homes, and we just didn't want it to feel slick and maybe hard. And often the flowers would be blooming in Athens when it would still be icy in New York. So we could ship things down. But we went down and the first time, and I had my sweet 2-year-old, if y'all can imagine. It was warm. Actually, it was hot. We were in a moving van. We had upholstered all kinds of furniture, and all of these different people in town had offered for us to do a photo shoot at their house. The back door's open, or I'll be at the grocery store. Don't worry about me. Literally that easy. And when I had something in New York, it would be, okay, that's a $1,500 fee for 2 hours in my apartment. So we just knew, we knew what we could do and what we couldn't. So I kept having these experiences, these fabulous experiences, really great, interesting people flying in, flying out, living there part-time. I had this big idea that I could live in 2 places. Well, if I were a rock star, maybe, or if I was a traveling, like a commercial photographer, maybe, but that wasn't the situation. But anyway, it didn't stop Pete from going there after I had been going on about this place and how wonderful the people were. And oh my gosh, this couple came in from LA and they're living half in Athens and half in LA. And these are half in New York and half in Athens, so it wasn't that odd. But then when he actually bought the house, I was just kind of like, okay. But then I thought, how are we going to do this? Anyway, I didn't think about it too much. I had a tiny baby. I had maybe at that point, at that point I had just had my second child. So I wasn't really focused on what he was doing. I was just like, okay, sure, that sounds great, but yeah, questioning the whole thing. So we wound up renovating it. Literally stripping it down to studs, lifting it up on jacks, pouring the foundation, building this thing, and then the bottom fell out of the market. 2008 came, and so we chose to move in 2009. We just thought things are just. We lived next door to the stock exchange, so it just was a really ugly time, and it was so immediate for us. We always say the rest of the world didn't have to catch on, thankfully, for at least 6 to 8 months, but it was just you couldn't get away from it. And so this house then became a refuge and an option. And
it's spectacular. And I'm shocked by how little you've changed, or so many things that you picked at this point almost 20 years ago, that, wall colors and lights and
that's true.
You've made,
I haven't really thought
made
about
really
that.
enduring choices, I guess.
Oh, thanks. I always say that's probably my grandmother, because I do have a little bit of the old lady touch. My sister's more of a modernist than I am, and most people can't believe that when I tell them, but I do. There's something about, and not really traditional, that just sounds tired to me, but I love an antique. I love a patina. But I do love modern things. So I live in a mix.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in just buy the things that you love and live with them. And then a coat of paint is a coat of paint, and reupholstery is always an option. And now my back porch is an incredible homage to Ballard. Seriously.
You got a porch swinging back there.
Yeah,
That's
my daughter
pretty
came home
fabulous.
from college yesterday, and she said, "This is where I'm going to be every single day." She's a big reader.
That's wonderful.
And she got up in there and she said, I may need a few blankets. And she was she also loved the umbrella.
Of course, yeah.
She said, "Mom, that is so wonderful." And now my roses are so full, and they're this intense red, and I have that darling parasol that's the white and green with the scalloped edge. It's just
so sweet.
It's like a carnival ride, It is. It's its own kind of fun party happening.
Well, you have an absolutely gorgeous, yard and garden, and
Thanks.
lots of roses. We were there on a beautiful April day, and so we got to capture it in all its glory. So, but I'm sure our listeners will not be surprised. You have an incredible art collection of things you've done, other artists, your travels,
Even student art.
Student art. So tell us about how your kind of philosophy on art. Do you move stuff around? Do you keep it in the same place? How do you know what to buy?
That's a good question. Well, art is from the heart, truly. And my husband and I have different tastes in art. I mean, we both totally respect each other's viewpoint. I do have a big painting that is by a friend of mine that I don't think is his favorite. There's a lot of pink on it. But, sometimes those things happen. He may have some of his own favorites and I have mine. But we do come together and we've bought things together also. But I am also, like I said, I'm a believer in buying things that speak to your heart. So I have student art from UGA shows, and also I had some kids in New York, and I bought art from them, and I'm sure I paid their rent for the month. And I also sold paintings when I was in college, and I remember how impactful that felt. It was scary. I did a commission for a friend of my mother's, and it was a huge canvas, and that was terrifying to deliver it because she really trusted me, and she still has that in her bedroom, and she talks about it constantly, and she built a room around it. I mean, I'm telling y'all, that's a wonderful feeling. So in my own home, I have sculpture. I love sculpture because I love to make sculpture. I love photography, and I love painting. There's really no rule. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like that's how you should build a collection. Mm-hmm. If it's all just strikes you at a certain time. And sometimes you do need to go home and sleep on it. I'm a believer in that too. If it's expensive, I do think there's you don't have to just buy be the spontaneous human. I mean, that's fun too, but you can make a mistake.
Yeah. I think that's what I struggle with, and I'm sure some of our listeners. It's easy to know something that you like, but it's hard to know, okay, am I going to like this for a long time?
Yes.
Or am I just liking it right now in the moment because of it's a beautiful day and I'm on a trip, or I happen to like orange right now. So how do you know how to trust your instincts and when to move forward on them and when to maybe let them pass?
Well, I think knowing the artist is a huge thing. I think knowing about the artist, seeing if they align, maybe just gardening. Say you have a shared interest in gardening and that artist paints the most incredible flowers. I think all those things affect. I just know when I've sold things, people really want to meet me. Mm-hmm. And I understand that because I want to meet the people whose art that I buy.
Yeah.
So there's something tangible. It's like, does this person have a good vibe? Do I want their work living in my home? I mean, that sounds woo-woo, but it's real for me, And it's kind of like you saying about joy. If you felt joy in my art, what kind of art do you want to have in your home?
Yeah,
something that's going to make you
with?
Like I have done work. I'm just thinking of a client in particular where I knew the work was for her bedroom, and so for me, and I asked these questions, but for me, I want serenity in my bedroom. I mean, that's the first word that comes to mind, and I would think most people would want that, and this person in particular did, and her palette was similar to what I would probably use for my own palette, so I could dip into. I mean, it sounds personal, but it kind of is a little bit. I don't know. I think that's the important part, and then that energy goes into that work.
So, you mean shopping for art as an emotion, not as a visual, or maybe as much of
as
an
much.
Emotion. Yeah. Obviously,
But
you want to like how it looks.
But then aesthetics. I mean, come on.
How it makes you feel.
Sometimes it's just the coolest, and you get it, and maybe nobody else does. But there's something about it that lights your fire. Or I've bought something before when I was with somebody in particular, and it made me think of that person. And there was something about that person that I thought was so special. So it's hard because I see people shop, like bring their friends along and to shop for art, like when I'm in the gallery. And I now have my own gallery in Texas. So I see that side and the gallerist side. I know how hard it is to sell a piece of art to somebody, but I also know, now I see full circle all of the wonderfulness, but all of the challenges.
So do you think it's a bad idea to shop with a friend? Is that what you're like?
I think your friend,
Is your friend going to influence you?
I think oftentimes I've seen the friend influence. It just depends if you've got to really trust that the friend's taste.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Because, you just have to trust. Because if you are heavily influenced, a lot of people can't, that is overwhelming to actually buy a piece of art, to say how that makes you feel.
Well, but I get what you're saying. If the goal is to listen to your own perspective and how you really feel, then having someone else that, having your partner who you live with that also has to live with art, maybe that's one thing. But a friend who doesn't really care.
But then I have friends.
That's just going to confuse your.
Yeah. But I have some friends that have fabulous taste, and I'm okay shopping with them. Mm-hmm. They also, you have to say, this is what I want to spend, and this is my goal today. I'm just going to look with you, and then it's kind of fun to go just have an informational art walk. But it's a lot to step into a gallery. This is what I'm finding. I've never thought it was hard, but now I do see the other side of it, and some galleries just can feel really icy, and so that feeling comes across before the art. The art has to really speak to you and kind of like wrap its arms around you. I mean, this sounds so kooky, but it is so emotional. I'm asked this quite often. The question that I'm asked is, how would I tell people how I have collected art, number one, just like you asked me, and how do you not buy trendy art, when it's around you often? I think there's so many wonderful options now that are not originals. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have a whole collection of art, and I think I know people that have coveted their prints. And there is nothing wrong with that. And then you're actually spending less, and that you may not feel as, attached to this painting that wasn't $20,000.
Right.
Or $5,000.
Right.
5,000 isn't, like, there are these numbers that you're like, oh, if it goes to 5,000, So you can oftentimes find something that you can live with for a while just to see.
Right. There's not.
And
much
if your
pressure.
mind doesn't leave your mind, I will say this, I've never regretted one of my art purchases, even if it was over my budget. And I've had to, like in my case of my hot pink painting, I mean, it's not all hot pink, it just has these dots on it, and I paid for it in increments. My friend, the artist, I'd just be like, can I pay you this and she was happy as a clam. And I've had friends do that. That's what they want, and they want to pay for that because they're going to live with that, and it means so much to them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Who were some artists that you look to and love?
Oh gosh, I've always wondered what I would say if somebody asked me this question.
Even just other designers or artistic influences, I guess, on you.
I was bowled over the other day when I saw at the Royal Academy of Art a show by the first woman to have a show in the gallery in London. Her name is Rose Wiley. I bought her book. She's 90-something years old. Finally, the woman cracks the ceiling of the Royal Academy of Art. And her work is so funny and wonderful and whimsical. And I'd never heard of her, but I went straight online and I bought her book because I thought, okay, I'm not sure how much money that Rose will get from my purchase, but I want to support her. So it's just wonderful. I love seeing. She gets a lot of her inspiration from movies and probably even just fashion magazines and paparazzi. It's just funny. And also her history. So I think just seeing how she just slathers the paint is so wonderful to me. There are a couple of funny people out there in the world, and his name is David Shrigley.
Oh, he's so funny.
I had bought postcards at a shop before I knew that he was an artist. He is so funny, and it's so snippy and great.
Yeah, it's his sense of humor is very kind of snarky and a little
dry.
Yeah, very dry, and then pairs the hand painted words with a silly drawing of a penguin or so. It's like something else there's a juxtaposition there that's really funny.
So
we like a good sense of humor.
Yes, there's also an artist in New York named Leanne Shapton, and she sells her work. I think her handle is Shaptonia. And she does a lot of the illustrations for the New York Times, for T magazine, and maybe the New Yorker. I love what she does. She also sells these books in quotation marks. She basically takes they're that just reminded me of another artist I want to tell you all about. She takes these square blocks and she'll paint them with a book cover, a fake book cover.
Oh, I love that.
And then I have those mounted on the wall, but John Darien sells them in his shop, and they're fabulous.
Great.
They are
yes.
great.
Oh, and you're great. You're longtime friends with John Darien, which I think is so cool.
He
You had a ton
is-
of John Darien in your house.
Oh my gosh, he's a dreamboat. No, he's he's everywhere. I mean, come on, he's everywhere. The art I was going to also tell you that I adore is a woman in Philly. Her name is Martha Rich, and
You were telling me about
all
her,
of the eyes in my bathroom. I have all these woodcuts. I have a woodcut knife, and she does these snakes. She does all these crazy, funny things and word bubbles. So, like, I have a photograph that a friend of mine who I adore her work. It's Christy Bush. She's an Athenian, and this fabulous photograph of this darling girl with this pink wig, and I did Martha Rich's word bubbles out of her mouth that say, I don't even know, like stop patriarchy or some, funny thing. I have one in the kitchen that says chump change and another one that says mullet. I mean, in this little tiny green head with these big word bubbles coming out. And anyway, my sister and I have collected her work. I just think she's so irreverent and funny too. So I like work. I mean, I have some serious art for sure.
Yeah.
There's an artist named Louise Belcourt. Oh my gosh, I didn't think I could remember all these. My husband is dear friends with her, and she paints these incredible gouache hedges. So we have a few pieces of hers. It all just makes for this menagerie. And that's what I think an art collection is all about. I mean, you could stand in my hall probably for a couple hours and just look at the work.
Oh, it's fabulous. And, well, I want everyone to go watch the house tour because there's so much more detail that we go into. But you have the most incredible hallway down the center, and it's like its own room. And all of your artwork is displayed. So it's fun to walk down it very slowly. So you can
a feast for
absorb
the
everything.
eyes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've tried to buy all of my friends that are artists, I've tried to buy something from them. And then, of course, I've been fortunate enough to have art shows now in Corsicana, Texas, that is, for all these friends, because I think they're so incredibly talented. And, Carol John, Ren Allen, we have a show up right now, Carl Martin. I mean, he's been collected at the MoMA. I mean, I'm just telling you.
His photographs are so incredible.
Aren't they insane?
They're so incredible.
Have you seen any of those pictures that I've posted? They're architectural, but they're different. They're so special. Anyway, I'm tickled that you know his work, Liz.
Yeah.
So are y'all big art collectors? Do you have work that you've bought? And so, I mean, do you have your own opinions about buying art?
Yeah, well, you go.
Okay.
You're married to an artist.
I am. So, yes, we have. Yeah, you were in a show with my husband.
Yes, Liz, Stephen.
Yeah.
Those incredible tree ring paintings.
Yeah.
How bizarre is that? That we were in a show together. How many years ago was that?
It seems like forever ago.
I think it was forever ago.
I think forever ago is the timeline, but yeah, so.
Oh my gosh, his work is incredible. What is he doing now? Well, I know y'all have a gallery, a space.
Yeah, I don't want to turn this into the Steve show, but he's
no. Come on.
He's got a gallery here in Atlanta called Day and Night Projects. He's been awarded the Working Artist Prize this year from Mocha GA, so he's going to have a big show in November. So he's rocking it. He's killing it. So proud of him. And I mean, we've been together since art school, so it's great to see like his trajectory. But our art collection is really just a mishmash of friends, of things that we've gotten from art auctions. Like, don't sleep on art auctions for real. Like, I feel like that's a really big kind of tip. Like, look to look to like different schools that might have art auctions, or different organizations that will have art auctions within your town, because those are great places to collect local art.
That's a great idea. I have one that I buy from in Provincetown.
Oh yeah.
I go to, speaking of John, I go to visit him, and there is a gallery there that is incredible, and they have auctions all the time.
Very
It's
cool.
called Baker.
Yeah, I hadn't thought
It's a really great way to get exposed to local artists and to help a great organization too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of times you're getting them at a really great price because they've donated the work to the organization.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
I like also older art, things maybe the people are gone, but like I didn't realize that at the Cape there was, P-Town was an art colony. And so the work in some of the galleries have been there are artists that are, Milton Avery. You can buy a Milton Avery there, and or many. They're expensive, mind you, but you can buy them in a gallery there.
Yeah.
But that he spent a time. That was the focus of his work. So, and I have a great Milton Avery book. That's the other thing. If you can't buy a piece of the artist's work, I'll buy the book of the artist.
Yeah.
And I have done that. There's an artist, he recently passed away, named Otis Jones. And I love his work. I could not have a piece of his work, but I'm sure plenty of incredible people own them. But his gallery put out a really beautiful book, and so I was able to have that.
Yeah. I love that idea.
Yeah.
But it's not the Steve show, but I do want to catch up with what Steve's doing. Come on.
Catch up.
Okay, before we wrap up though, let's go back to the Garnet Hill.
Over?
Well, we can
No,
chat off camera, but
I know. This is fun.
well, I want to go back to the Garnet Hill collection because you didn't tell us about how the patterns, we talked about the beads, but there were a couple other patterns that were used that were based off your paintings. So
Yes.
tell us about those particular ones. They're very floral.
Yes, so I do paint these. I just call them gardens, and they are literally they're mostly from my imagination. I did paint one, and we have it at the gallery in Texas. It didn't sell. It hasn't sold. I thought it was going to go for a client, but I did walk out into the garden, and I had gotten a couple years ago some anemone from my neighbor and dropped them into the ground, and they're really easy to grow. Well, she said that, but they have formed these incredible lumps of gorgeousness. They work in Georgia, so highly recommend anemone. But what's cool is I walked out there and I thought, and oftentimes I'll do this. I'll just go into my garden if I'm kind of like, what am I going to do today? And I'll take a walk, usually with clippers in hand. I'm always pruning something. And I looked at it and I thought, that would probably be really beautiful. Because I like when there's a skinny stem and like a big fat. I like the juxtaposition of like a big floppy flower and a little tiny stem, or a big dripping down. Like I love plants I love gaura. It's like waves, and a big carpenter bee will sit on the end and it'll just be like bouncing. And those are the kind of things I love in a garden. And I also have tried, because the house was built in 1905, I tried to create a garden that had the same elements that a Victorian garden would have. And there used to be, Caroline, I think I mentioned this to you, but there was a garden center. It's closed now because my my friend passed away who ran it, but it was a very, very special place. And all I would say to Rick was, it was called Goodness Grows. And most Atlantans would know it if they're gardeners. But I would say, Rick, I need some old-timey something that's real floppy. You know, I would just tell him. And he would say, oh, you need this in your garden, and you need this and this. And so, I mean, I would throw my children in the car. He would pop popcorn, and he had chocolates in a dish in this little side house. So the kids were completely happy there. They'd ride with me. And then when they were coming back, they had their like car seats and their boosters, and there would be plants literally over their shoulders coming through the back of the car. I mean, I have more pictures of that with the kids and kind of looking miffed, like, man, this is bothering me, Mom, you know, and maybe like, hang on, just hang on. But that was kind of always my thing. And I have these plants that I know exactly when I got them, because they were to be this loose, army kind of floppy, movement, drippy plant that most always has a tight border right in front. I don't know. I love that. Yeah. So when I'm painting, okay. So back to the garden painting. So I went out, so I painted these anemone, and I love this painting so much. I think maybe I should just keep the dang thing. But anyway, the other paintings that went almost straight on to some of the bedding and the clothing, which is the first time I've ever done clothing for Garnet Hill.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a new thing for me. But the garden part wound up on the clothes too, and on the bottom of the sheets. So it's fun. And then there's a pattern where we basically deconstructed one of those paintings, and it's a tossed pattern and all these beautiful pastel colors, and it's on this linen. I don't know where. Oh, actually, most of the things are made in Portugal, but this fabric that they sourced is incredible. And the clothing is made of it, I believe, also. It's just so soft. And there's a heavy drape to it. So just what you would want. Actually, in both things, you know, duvet. It's not sheeting. It's duvet and the pillows. And shams, and the shams. And then 2 sets. So there are 2 different, the deconstructed one and then the blue garden.
It's very pretty. I love the palette of the tossed pattern.
Me
and
too.
But the blue and white, it's very reminiscent of your art. But
And you know that rickrack that's on the mixed one is my shout out to the 70s.
Yeah.
I have some pajamas that has rickrack on it. My husband always, and they are just like a little girl pajama. It's hilarious. And every time he sees me, he says, those are the cutest pajamas. And I know that if they were shrunken and in kids form, he would probably say the same thing if when our children were small. But they have a Peter Pan collar. I just need to make some because I can't get them anymore. But
it sounds like you've got an in.
I'm telling you,
right?
I need to talk to those
Garnet Hill folks.
Garnet Hill folks. They're so fun.
They make a cute pajama.
That would make.
They make a cute. They make lots of cute pajamas, but
they do and cozy.
Yeah.
I've always asked. Please, we've done children's pajamas there for several years.
Yeah.
But I want to do the adults.
Well, I feel like pajama sets are having a real moment. Like they're everywhere.
Is that because everyone wants to lounge out?
I think it's just cute. It's fun to wear a cute matching set.
No, there was a time when I looked at my pajamas and I thought, this is sad. and I threw everything out. This was literally, this is probably, I was sniffing out the fact that this trend was coming, and I threw everything out. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm a grown woman with this terrible, and I'm married. My poor husband, he doesn't care, whatever.
Yeah.
But he likes a set.
Yeah.
It's
we're kind
really
of like
cute.
June and Ward now.
You know what? I did just buy a set.
Well, it's kind of like,
and
how
it's-
people are always
it's so
telling you,
cute.
like, you spend half your life in bed, so you need good sheets and a good mattress. Well, it's kind of the same for PJs. Like,
It's true.
It's true.
wear a cute set,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm here for it. And anyway, back to the rickrack. There's this darling pale yellow rickrack going around as the detail trim on the mixed floral.
yeah, on both the dress and the sheeting, or the duvet, right?
Yes.
I think it's on the dress too. It's very cute. Susan, we could sit here all day with you.
I know. We have,
this
and
has been
I
really
feel like,
fun.
though, I'm the only one that's talked. I didn't think
Not
podcasts.
at all.
I
But
didn't
that's
think
what you're here for
podcasts are
anyway. We
Well,
wanna hear
yeah,
from
but
you.
I can talk. I have to be I need somebody to interrupt me. I hate to say it. I try to get social cues, but y'all just let me ramble.
Well, we were enjoying it, but tell
This was
everyone where
really
they can
fun.
find you, follow you, and see your work.
Oh. Well, our Instagram account is Hable Land. It's all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my own. My sister has her own, Susan Hable and Kate Hable. So, I think you can pretty much learn. The gallery has its own Instagram account too. We have too many Instagrams. But at Hable Land, you can pretty much get
Find
all the
everything else.
good stuff.
Yes.
And all the tips on Garnet Hill and the darling products that we make for them. And then, hey, when is the YouTube going to come out?
Hopefully around the time of this podcast.
That's great.
So hopefully people can go watch it right after they listen to this.
Oh, great. I can't wait.
I'm excited. It was just the best day. So
I know, we're lucky.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that we're close.
truly, it was.
Maybe you want to travel further, but I liked you being able to just come over for the day.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Liz, Caroline, thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
for being here.
Yeah.
This was really fun.
And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
Happy
decorating.
decorating.